Yeah, so my name's Antonio Hernandez, and I'm running for Antioch Unified School District, Area 1. I grew up here in Antioch. It's really the place that I've known my whole life. My family came over here when I was about 2 years old, and we moved into an apartment that we still live in now. So it's always been me, my older brother, my younger sister, and then my two parents. So we live over off by not too far from Marshall Elementary School and Antioch Middle School, and that's actually, I mean, those are the two schools that I went to. Yeah, so I love my family. My parents, when they first came here, they started working immediately once they got here in Antioch. So my dad works as a dishwasher for Red Lobster, and my mom works as a fry cook at Jack in the Box. And they've pretty much have done that since we've been here. And they really spend a lot of time making sure that we're able to pursue our dreams and our opportunities. Throughout the years, at times my dad or my mom have taken on second jobs, working at other local fast food places. Very humbling to see their willingness to just go work wherever it is, because I can see they're really thinking about us and the opportunities that they want to give to us. And especially as I think about my older brother, my younger sister. She recently graduated from UC Berkeley, so she was able to continue her education. She went to Los Medanos College and then transferred over to UC Berkeley, where she majored in media studies.
Growing up with Antonio, we were always really close. He's only 2 years older than me, and so it was really easy for us to just be around each other all the time. So I would say, though, that for a time there, we were a bit not competitive outright, but being someone who he is, who's always has done a lot in school, who has always just put everything out there, I would say that it was hard for a while to not feel like I was living in his shadow almost.
My brother also earned 3 different degrees from Los Medanos College, and I definitely remember growing up as I was younger. My brother started working at a very young age and giving back to our family, and I think about that sacrifice that he made as well, and the way that kind of my family makes sacrifices in general. Because I think sacrifices like my brother working at an early age really paved the way for me to be able to do a lot of the things that I did.
So growing up with Antonio, my brother, was always very interesting because he was always very passionate about things, and I would say very focused. He definitely found numerous things that he would be very interested about, and he definitely leaned in really hard and really went for it.
Growing up with parents that came from Mexico, had its own challenges. I think some of the things that I think about is, my parents in their challenges of learning English and kind of adapting to the culture. I remember, going to like school registrations and having to be, 7-year-old me and looking at all these like documents and things that people have to fill out to get registered, and like trying to translate that for my parents. So there's really some challenges there, but my parents have always been really great, very supportive of all the things that I've done. And I think, when I think about their journey from Mexico and why they came here, it really was to kind of give us those kinds of opportunities to let us like pursue higher education. And so when I think about, all that they went through, it really makes me feel like I have like a debt to them, that like I have to, really try to maximize my life and really find ways to give back because, they sacrifice so much of themselves.
I think growing up, a big factor was, especially as he got older, and I wasn't as much around because of having to work, and he now had to take on the reins of interpreting and helping my parents out navigate some of the school systems. That really brought it upon him having to rely a little bit on himself. He's definitely able to take initiative when it comes to something that he needs, but he's also able to listen.
For high school here in Antioch, I went to Dozier Libby Medical High School, and it was a new school at the time. They came and did a presentation when I was at Antioch Middle School, and they said, "Hey, this is a new school. You'd be part of the first graduating class." And I just saw this opportunity, and I kind of went for it. I didn't have a huge interest in healthcare at the time, but I figured, let's try something new. and different. And so I went to Dozier Libby Medical High School, and that experience was hugely important in how I was able to succeed and continue to go on to college. At Dozier Libby, one of the things that I participated in a lot was an organization called HOSA Future Health Professionals, and I really learned a lot of leadership skills in that organization, and I continued to kind of push myself. When I was a sophomore, I became our chapter president, and then later on I ran and became the state president for California. And those kinds of experiences really kind of set me up to continue succeeding in school, to continue to kind of push myself, which I think were really some of the things that allowed me to apply to colleges and get accepted to a lot of really awesome schools. I ended up going to Stanford University, where I majored in economics, and I really don't think I would have been there if it wasn't for those great experiences that I had at Dozier Libby Medical High School. Yeah, the experience at Stanford was very challenging. People often say things like, oh, once you get to these elite colleges and universities that you're kind of set for life, or that you're on this perfect trajectory in life. But being there, you're exposed to a world that's so different. I grew up in a low-income background, from parents that came from Mexico, and so culturally adapting was something that was challenging. And so I was just surrounded by classmates who had grown up having their own rooms in life and had grown up with all these different privileges and were able to call their parents with help on their college homework, something that was just like baffling to me. I don't think I've been able to go to my parents for help on homework since when I was in elementary school. So there was a lot of challenges there in getting through that Stanford experience, as well as lots of really great opportunities. So since graduating from college, one of the first jobs that I got was working for the University of California, San Francisco at San Francisco General Hospital, where I was doing clinical research looking at the way that parents talk, read, and sing with their kids. So I was there in our pediatric primary care clinic every day, talking to parents, about how often they talk with their kids, how often they read, how often they sing, whether they think these things are important. And so my job was just interviewing these parents and their kids and following up with them a few weeks later to see if that visit really changed their perspective on how they were communicating with their kids. And then from there, I continued to, I've continued to stay with the University of California, San Francisco at SF General Hospital in the pediatrics department. We serve like a very wide range of patients here. A lot of them are recent immigrants that don't speak English. In addition to this role that I've played at SF General Hospital, I also work as a youth leadership teacher for Team Try, which is an organization that helps student-led organizations. So I have my own cohort of students that I teach about leadership, things like how do I speak in public, how do I conduct a workshop, how do I work with a team. So we go through lessons like that, and I meet regularly with these students, and every year they put on a conference for 1,000 other students that are also interested in healthcare. So it's really awesome to see their journey from that first day where they're so nervous to the last day where they're on stage in front of 1,000 other students leading this conference completely by themselves. Yeah, so I really want to be part of the Antioch School Board because I love Antioch. It's where I grew up, and I've seen the ways that I've gotten some opportunities here and that not all of our students are getting those same opportunities. I think when I think about my story, I don't think it should be unique. I think every student should have the chance to go to their dream university, to continue to pursue their passions, and I think we can do that if we really do make sure that we're focusing our priorities on some of the students that we sometimes let fall through the cracks, our Black students, our Latinx students, our homeless students, and our foster youth. I'm really concerned about the global pandemic and distance learning exacerbating some of these disparities that exist. My background in economics and education and healthcare especially, I think all come together in a really great way right now to really meet the needs of the students that we have. And it's just about making sure that they're getting that support that they need and making sure that they feel safe in school, making sure that they have opportunity, and making sure that we're listening to the voices of students because again, when you really let students be themselves, they will surprise you in the best ways.
He really just wants what's best for people. I think growing up the way that we did and having such inspiration in both our parents and my older brother, my other older brother, I think that he really knows both what it means to struggle and what it means to thrive, and what it means that despite thriving, despite having those successes in his life, what more he could be doing for other people.
If someone came up to me and said, "Why should I vote for you for Antioch School Board?" I'd tell them that I'm a native here in Antioch. I love this city, and I think that if we give our students the right opportunities to succeed, that our students will surprise us more often than not. They're capable of so much. So on November 3rd, vote for me, Antonio Hernandez, for Antioch School Board.